in the concussion protocol and under evaluation, and they'll obviously see how he's feeling today and conduct more tests if necessary. A scary, sort of horrific scene there, and I think as much as a lot of times we don't really see the immediate toll that a head injury can take, because a guy has his helmet on and maybe they don't take it off until he's on the sidelines, and the guy in the blue hat comes over and then they're whisked off the sidelines into the halls, into the dressing room for further observation. But obviously a scary moment, and if you kind of research this at all, you talk to people who've had concussions over the years. I mean, that can certainly be an immediate reaction to having one is sort of the sobbing and some of those outward signs of distress.
Yeah, no, one of the issues, obviously, it will be one of the issues going forward for the Carolina Panthers, but they did get a much-needed win when you look at all things considered, moving into 4-6. What ultimately do we feel like has plagued this Carolina Panthers team? Is it really just scheduling? Because it was tough at the beginning. And secondly, do they have a chance to get back in this thing?
I think it's going to be difficult, guys, because it's not one of these divisions like maybe the AFC North or the NFC North where you kind of look and say, well, is anybody going to do it? I mean, Atlanta remains in the driver's seat. And could they fall apart like last year? I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility. The defense looks better, and Matt Ryan's having a much better season. So you would tend to think that they don't collapse in the final third here. And if they don't, I'm just not sure. Like, I need to see Carolina string together, a decent winning streak, something that shows that, okay, they've sort of got it back. And if they lose Kuechly for any period of time, that obviously would be a significant blow. The one thing they do have going for them is go back to the last New Orleans game where the defense fell apart and blew that game late and let Breeze come back down the field after Cam had come back from 27 down or whatever. The defense from a scoring standpoint has been markedly better the last 4 weeks, but the margins are slim. There's not a ton of depth there. We'll have to see if that can hold up. But I think it's going to be more about, does Atlanta collapse? And if they do, then they open the door. If Atlanta's even a 500 team down the stretch, I don't think Carolina closes the gap.
I'm with you. Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports NFL Insider. Tiki and Tierney, usual Friday hit. All right, Jay, it's been an eye-opening season for the Packers. They just have not looked good basically every Sunday for the most part. And I thought this week was pretty interesting with McCarthy, who's been very abrasive and defensive this season, even more so than usual. And Aaron Rodgers came out and really passionately defended him. And there's some people who are wondering if that's authentic or if Aaron just tried to do that for the team to keep the season from really going off the rails. What's their relationship like?
It's not they're not sending each other, flowers and chocolates every week. I mean, they're not, having dinner over each other's house every night. But it's been a very strong working relationship for a while. And at its core, even if the personalities clash sometimes, even if it's a little rocky at times, even if they don't always see eye to eye about what play should be called or how much, Aaron should or shouldn't be able to do at the line, there is a deep, deep level of respect and professional affinity for the ability of the other to do his job at a level which very few people on the planet can do it. And that's why when push comes to shove there, what have they been in the playoffs? 7 straight years? Like 8 of the last 9 or something like that? I mean, boy, oh boy. I think that the roster isn't what it used to be. The depth certainly isn't what it used to be. And I think in football operations, there will be some questions asked at the end of the year. And I don't know that Mike McCarthy brings that entire staff back. In fact, I'd be shocked if he does. Some would say there might be too many cooks in the offensive kitchen. But this idea that the whole thing is going to be blown up, I don't get that sense.
JLC, when you look at the New England Patriots who suffered a loss, I think not unexpectedly so against the Seattle Seahawks, who are a good team, despite how they started. They're just getting better. But they lose potentially Rob Gronkowski. Now, they have a game against San Francisco. They probably don't need Gronk to play in. But what's the update on his health?
Yeah, I checked in with some people there last night. I mean, it's not as dire as some of the initial reports were, but I'd be shocked if he even really traveled. There's no reason for it. Look at how they handled the hamstring early in the year. They erred exceedingly on the side of caution, which was smart, and that hasn't been an issue since he came back. Could he play in Week 12? Yeah, I mean, that's really what they're looking for now. Whether they list him as doubtful or out, we'll find out later today. But from what I'm hearing, he won't play in this game. He'll continue to rest up, and they hope to have him back in a week.
So to Jason La Canfora here on CBS Sports Radio every Friday. Jay swings by and obviously busy. We appreciate it. Jason's NFL insider, CBS Sports. Tiki and Tierney's here. All right, so what are the big games? Because one of these two teams is about one more bad game away, probably from the football graveyard. That's the Cardinals and the Vikings. And obviously the Vikings are closer to it. They've lost 4 straight. And listen, I have no confidence in the Cardinals, even if they win this game, that they're going to go on a long run and play sustained quality football enough to really make a difference and matter this year. Do you have any faith in the Cards? Because I can't imagine you believe in the Vikings, so I think we could probably focus on the Cardinals.
The Vikings, I mean, I wrote a column when they played the Eagles saying this is the beginning of the end, and they've been exposed to a degree that there is a template out there to attack them and to attack Sam Bradford, and they simply lack the reinforcements to counter it. And that's pretty much been the case for over a month now. Arizona, I buy them defensively, and they should. I mean, look, Arizona, one of the key metrics I look at is points allowed per play. They're number 1 in the NFL in that. So they've got some good things going on defensively. They're getting after the passer better this year. Offensively, they don't really have an identity. It's kind of a week-to-week proposition as to what they can get going. Carson Palmer, 11 touchdowns, I think 9 picks, QB rating of 84. It's not going to get it done in that division, not when you're competing with a team like Seattle that's there every year. So I'm kind of with you. Somebody will win this game, and they'll feel a little better about themselves, but I don't think it's a springboard or, a launching point to better things necessarily. It's going to take a team like Arizona beating, a quality team or two down the stretch, and I really think that tie will come back to haunt them immeasurably because it's a tie against the team they were chasing, a team that they outplayed on that game, and they did so at home. And to me, that tie is more like a win for Seattle and more like a loss for Arizona when you were already behind them to begin with. I just wonder. They and Carolina both look like teams that, and Carolina's a little different because they've got a young quarterback. But boy, it just seemed like last year kind of had to be their year before they took a little downturn, and now we'll see if or when they can get back up.
Now, what was the ultimate factor that pushed Jeff Fisher to finally decide that Jared Goff needs to start a game in the National Football League?
I mean, from what I'm told, it's not like Stan Kroenke walked down to his office, knocked on the door, and said, "What are you doing?" But it also was not lost on him. Once he took a step back from, that game itself and then reviewing the game film on Monday and sort of still thinking, well, Keenum gives us the best chance to win, which in his heart he absolutely still believes. But when you look at the big picture and you're sitting there on Monday night and you're looking at the standings and you're talking to some other people in your building and it's a home game, and what happened the last time they played at home, right? You had 89,000 people chanting for Jared Goff. And, yeah, you're trying to keep your job, and a lot of your mind to this point has been, well, the best way to keep my job is to play who I think is the better quarterback, the smarter quarterback, the veteran quarterback each week, and just try to stay in the hunt. When you've got that sort of a backlash going on, sometimes common sense prevails. And so I think it's the totality of all of that. And, it's not ideal because Miami's defense is pretty darn good, but it's never necessarily going to be ideal. And even though they won on the road last week, I mean, they did it, 9-6. I mean, they've been shut out in the first half of games with stunning regularity.
Mm-hmm.
So, eventually it's got to happen, whether it was going to be this week or the week after. It was coming, and I don't think Jeff Fisher wanted to have another week where if I'm only going to be able to score maybe 10 points on that defense anyway, do I want to do it with Case Keenum and have them calling for the other guy for 3 hours, or do I just give them what they want?
It's a dangerous way to run a franchise when you start trying to placate and mix and match and measure emotions. But
I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, what more is Case Keenum going to like?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That is not fertile land to mine anymore. You know what I mean? You've been plowing that field since he came back from the concussion last year or whatever, and it is what it is.